Today we're going to look at the coins that are on the screen, and this is part 2 of 4 of a video series from a recent trip to my favorite local coin store, which has a foreign coin 25-cent bin. And this is the largest haul that I've ever gotten from the foreign coin store. So there were so many coins, I decided to break it up into 4 videos, or each one, or we'd be here for over an hour. Usually when I go through coins like this in a video, I just randomly pull them out of the bag and go through them. But for today's video, I pulled out all of the Chinese cash coins and made this stack right here. And if you're not interested in Chinese cash coins, I'm saving all those for the end. We're going to look at the ones that are not in that stack first. We're also keeping a running tally of how we're doing in as far as price is concerned. Now, if I find a coin in a 25-cent bin that I add to my collection, it really doesn't matter what the value is. But some of these coins I picked up specifically to add to my trade pile. And if I can get something good for it, well, that's great. Let's begin. I will mention again, like I said in the first video, normally these coins are 4 for $1. I bought so many he made them 5 for $1. I got almost 100 coins, and I spent $20 on the whole lot. The video one, the total value of everything was $20. So if I'm looking just for bang for my buck, I broke even just on the first video. Let's see how it goes the rest of the way here. A lot of these Chinese coins are hard to figure out the price, but we'll see what we can do. In the 25-cent bin this time, I found silver, and anytime I can find a silver coin, it's almost always going to have more than 25 cents worth of silver in it, even if it's a smaller one like this. Now, as it turns out, I didn't have this coin, but as you can see, it's in pretty rough shape. I'm going to say that this has tape damage on it. I'm guessing that someone had this taped into an album, and you can see the yellow residue that it left on this one, and then where it wasn't taped, it turned kind of black up there. But at least for now, it's a placeholder. Of course, this is from Great Britain. It's a 3-pence coin with Edward VII, and it's dated 1902. This is still when the British silver coins were sterling, or 0.925. This coin has 0.042 average silver weight of ounces in here. So that's going to roughly translate to about $1 of silver. This one's KM 797.1. Another coin from the early 1900s. This one is Guillaume, the Grand Duke of Luxembourg, from 1908. Flip this one over, and it is a 5 centimes coin. This one's going to be KM 26. Somehow, proof coins made it into this 25-cent bin. Not quite sure the history of how it got here or who even took it out of the mint packaging, but we have ourselves a proof. Now, it's not going to be the perfect proof quality when it has had a chance to scrape around with other coins for quite a bit, but I still went ahead and put this one on a flip because I didn't want it to get any worse. So this wasn't the only one that we're going to find. Maybe the only one in this video, but there were a couple others that I picked up. So this one is from Guernsey, which is a dependency of Great Britain. This is 1 new penny, so this was right after they changed from the pre-decimal system to the decimal system, and they still had new in the name of the currency. So this was 1971, KM21. Flip it over, and the new penny from Guernsey has this bird on it. According to my catalog, the name of this bird is a gannet. So I have that written on here, and as you take a closer look, you can see some of the scratches which are on here. But it still has some really good eye appeal and luster to it. And of course, we go back to the head side, and I like the design of the lions here. And also, a lot of these Guernsey coins have a quite an old-fashioned looking typeface or font to them, and I find that quite interesting. This coin is KM21. Here's a coin from Greece that is a kind of a throwback nod to some what we would consider ancient coins. This one is not ancient. This one is from 1926, and I believe it's a one-year coin. And of course, you'll recognize that there are Greek characters on here. So if there are only a couple of other countries that use the Greek alphabet, but if you don't recognize what it says, I took a little bit of Greek when I was in school, and it says this is the Hellenic democracy around the edge here, and the value of the coin is 50 lepta from 1926. This is KM 68. You'll probably recognize right away that this is a German coin. It has the eagle and the name Deutsche Reich on this side, 1931. This comes from before the Third Reich days when they were still part of the Weimar Republic. Flip this one over. It is a 50 Reichspfennig from 1931 with a mint mark of A, which means Berlin, there at the bottom. KM 49, and this one actually has a pretty good value to it in this condition because it's fairly rare. This one's worth $4. Here's another coin with a rare alphabet. This one is from Ethiopia, has a value of 5 cents. And then not only these characters, but also the lion means that it is from Ethiopia. The date is written in the characters right here, and on their calendar, this is the Ethiopian calendar of 1969, but for the rest of us, it was made in the year 1977. This is the most common version of this coin, but there are two variations. One has to do with the whisker length, and one has to do with how close or how big the lion head is, and the little gap here between the nose and the edge of the coin is even smaller on the proof version of this coin. So this one is KM 44.1. Here is a low value coin from Turkey. It's going to be a value of 1 kurus from 1941. They had multiple different designs over about 2 decades for the 1 kurus coin. This one has what I call the scalloped edge design. Flip this one over, and it says Turkey Cumhuriyeti. Has the traditional crescent moon and star that we see with a lot of Muslim countries. This one's going to be KM 867. Next, we have a coin from Brazil. This one is featuring, I guess that's pronounced Getulio Vargas. This coin is from 1938. It's going to have a value of 100 reis. Which we see on this side. This coin is going to be KM 544. Now, as we look at the edge on this one, it has a when you look on the front, it mostly looks round, although you can kind of see the bumps around the edge. This is called a fluted edge, and you don't really see it all that often on a coin where it's got almost little divots or dents that go around the edge. But this is a coin that was made for about 5 years. And if you happen to have one from 1942, it is not special as terms of value, but it has almost more of a darker color to it because there was a higher mix of copper added to the copper nickel coin that we have here. Here is a very small coin from the Netherlands, and this is about the end of this style of design where it shows the lion that has a sword in its hand. I sometimes call it the Kung Fu lion, but it looks like it's ready to fight. It has the Kingdom of Netherlands written around the edge. This one's dated in 1940, so I think this is the last year that this specific coin was, this specific denomination was minted. This is the 1/2 of a cent. and people didn't really hold on to these very much, and so it's actually kind of harder to find the half-cent coin than it is to find the 1 cent in a lot of places. So in this condition, even though it's the last year, it has a book value of $3. If you find this in 20s, 10s, or the 1800s, it can be worth a lot. Next, we have a couple of tokens. This one is from Sweden. This is a transportation token where it says, I'll do my best to pronounce this, Gothenborg's Sparvagar. And in the middle of this, we have a lion holding a shield. And so that is the Gothenburg City Arms. It has a date at the bottom of 1924 where it says Palet for Vexen, which means token for adult. They had a reduced fare for children who are using the public transportation to get to schools. And then one more transportation token. We also had a token in the last video from Nantes, France. That one was for a trade token where you could use it to go to a bakery and get a discount on food. This one is for the Nantes Tramways and had a purchase price of 20 centimes. And so we are familiar with the centimes that they use in France. This is, of course, a rounded corner square transportation token. The other side's messed up pretty bad on here, but it does have the letters TN inside of an oval. We have the number 20 again. I looked it up. This particular tramway is still in operation today, although they don't use these tokens anymore. Certainly not for 20 centimes. One of the reasons it's got kind of a weird look to the back here is it's made out of nickel and zinc. So that's not a combination you see on a lot of coins. This is the part of the video where we're going to switch to Chinese copper cash coins for the rest of the way here. And we're going to start with one of the coins that you see very often. The round coin with the square hole in the middle of it, with all of these symbols that are pretty puzzling. Almost always, I mean, I find these coins fairly often, but they have so many subtle differences to them that it's really difficult for me to identify sometimes what they are. This one's in pretty good shape, and being a Chinese coin, it makes me wonder if it's a fake, but we're going to proceed assuming this one is a real coin. I'm not that great at figuring out the fakes versus the real ones, but I usually don't find them in this nice condition. So this is any coin you find like this, the round with the square hole, is a 1 cash coin. So their currency was called the cash. And so when you identify it, you determine the emperor by looking at the top symbol and the bottom symbol. And the top is Guang and the bottom is Zhu. And so that means this is for Emperor Dezong. We flip it over, and this is almost a mint mark to say who produced it. Was it a national coin for circulation, or was it for one specific region? And on the back here, the characters are Bu Guang, which means it was countrywide. There's no date on here, so it was so this coin was minted between 1890 and 1899. The definitive guide to Chinese cash coins is the Hartel catalog, and this one has a catalog number of 22.1335. And since I found one actually in decent condition, of course, it is one of the more common of these 1 cash coins. This one has a value of $1. So if the most common denomination of copper Chinese coins you find is the 1 cash, the next most common you'll find is the Chinese 10 cash. You'll see that all of these are about the same size. And there are 3 different versions of coins which are going to be in here, and we'll go through them one by one. These can be maddening as you go through the catalog because there are so many subtle differences between them, but I'm going to point them out as we go through here. So we're going to stack them down here, and we'll go through the first batch. So these first 5 are pretty similar when we look at the design, although just by looking at the edge, you can tell that there's different metals used here. So some were more copper, some were more brass or bronze, but generally speaking, all of these are going to look about like this one. It's going to say the Republic of China on this side with 10 cash, and we've got this plus means 10, and that's their symbol for cash. So we've got some flowers on here, and then when we flip it over, we've got a couple of flags on the back here. And so this was a coin that was minted in 1912. And so in 1912, China decided to overhaul the currency system that they had, where you had empire-wide currency and you had regional currency. So from this point on, they decided that they wanted to try one empire-wide currency, and that's made this a almost a circulating commemorative coin featuring all of China is now using one coin design. This was 1912. However, some of these were made into the 1920s, and we'll be able to tell on some of these which was which. So I made myself some notes here of several of the different variations that you're going to be able to find on here. The first one we're going to start on is when you look on this side, there's a solid line and then there's a dotted line that goes around the middle here. So that one has the 2 lines, that one has the 2 lines, that one has the 2 lines. That one only has 1 line, that one only has 1 line. So that's our first variation. We talked about there are different versions of the metal that were used, copper or brass. Then let's see, this particular coin has a variation. There's a dot here, a dot between 10 and cash, and then another dot on that side. This one, instead of dots, has the no dot between 10 and cash, but it has this little symbol here, which is a small dot with 6 other dots surrounding it. It's the same symbol on this side, but it's more well worn. They call that a rosette. This one also has the rosette, but you can see it a little bit better there on both sides. This one has a 4 pointed, and they didn't call it rosette. This one's more like a 4-pointed star, I think is what they described that one. And you'll find smaller and larger variations of that. And then this one has the smaller star, whereas this one had a slightly larger star to them. All right, so are you frustrated yet? Flip these over, and we look in the back at the row of symbols at the very bottom that, unless you can speak Chinese, you don't know what these mean. Look at this character right here, and it's inside a square with rounded corners. That one has more of a squared corner look to it. This one too, although you may be able to see that one better as it's a little bit more, a little bit rounded. But then we come to this one, and definitely squared. I have it upside down. But we had the symbol, there's one at the top and one at the bottom. This one is a little bit too well worn to see how squared it is on that one. This one's better to tell. This one has very squared at that symbol on the bottom. But now that we're looking at the back, we're back to the symbols on either side of the flag. This one is another 5-point rosette, what they call it. This one is more pointy than rounded compared to the last one. It's kind of tough to say with it as well rounded like that, as well worn. This one doesn't have the rosettes at all. This one has kind of a flower symbol on either side of the flag. And I believe the next 2 also have the flowers. This one also have the flowers. And then next we have the size of the flag. That one's kind of well worn, can't really see it. So on some of these, this little star design on the flag touches the edge of the flag, and in fact, it kind of pushes the edge of the flag out a little bit. So that's the larger star design. This one goes to the edge of the flag also. This one's a little bit smaller, the star on this side. That one is also a little bit smaller where it doesn't touch the edge of the flag. Then one other thing to look for here is on some of these, the star is sunken into the flag, and others, it has little dots that are raised on them. And then one of the final differences that I found on some of these coins has to do with the flowers that appear back on the head side. So I think the easiest way for me to see, you've got a leaf, another leaf, and then this little thing that almost looks like a small leaf with 4 little dots on it. I guess 3 or 4 dots on this side also. This one has the same thing. That one is a little bit different. So it's got, instead of the ones with dots, it has an extra small leaf on the side. Let's come back over to this side. The leaves are, I think that one's more like the last one. And again, more like the last one. So, whew, that is a lot of variations to go through on just one coin here. So, these are going to show up in your category, or in your catalog, somewhere between Y301 to 303, depending on a lot of these different variations. And so the first thing to look for is the one with the flowers here in the back instead of the rosettes there on the side of the flag is going to be something starting with 301. And the one with the rosettes instead of these flowers on the side is going to be 303. This one was probably the best one of the lot. This one is given Y301. This one, for some reason, is a little bit thicker. Of course, there are a lot of just mint varieties that come through the years, but it's also Y301. This other one here is the variation that had the dot before, between, and after the 10 cash on here. So that one is variety 301.1. And then these two both happen to be, those first three were all from closer to 1912. These other two with the rosettes on the back are closer to 1920s. And so again, as we go side by side with the rosettes on the back here, the one that is more star-shaped is Y303, and then the one that is more of a more flowery, more of like a pentagon shape is Y303.4A. This one is actually the most valuable coin of the whole lot, but still only has a book value of $1 because all of these are not very high quality. So I talked about how on these last 5 coins that we're looking at, they were all empire-wide coins. Before that, each province was able to make their own coins, or there were some that were empire-wide. So these next 4 are all of a similar design, where the name of the province is going to appear on this side. And so this is kind of a neat design where it's got a large dragon, and the little ball in the middle that has flames coming off of it, let me point to it right there, is called a pearl. And so this one is from the Nan province. And so these are pretty straightforward because it gives you the name of the province on it. You can flip straight to that page in your price guide. I mean, if you're not familiar with the provinces, it might take you a little bit of time to figure it out. But so this one is, at least if you can get to the province, you can narrow it down pretty quick. And so as we look at the symbols on the back here, this is still a 10 cash coin. There is our 10. The plus appears here at the bottom. But still, each of these have different variations. So this one has a rosette in the center. This one's a little bit bigger so we can see what a rosette looks like. But as we come back to the side where it has uh, letters from our alphabet on here, this one also has a dash between the words 10 and cash. So that's a variation of this coin. This coin was minted in 1905, has a catalog number of Y138 and a book value of $1.75. You always find these as well worn just like a lot of the others, but this one is from the Hunan province. A lot of similar themes on here. The symbol on the side here is different where there are specific characters on the last side. And this one is more of a stylish design. When we look at the rosette on the back, there are actual, I guess, dimples or impressions that appear on it. Some versions of the coin from Hunan have a ring that goes around the pearl in the middle, and also the spacing between the letters is different than some other variations of this coin. This one's going to be from Hunan circa 1902 through 1906 and catalog Y112. The letters at the top of this one are a little bit harder to see, but this is the Guernsey province, the S-E-E. Right here is different on some other versions of this coin. It was an S-I instead of S-E-E right here. And again, the S is very well worn on this one. As we flip this one over, there is not a rosette in the back, but instead, I believe that is used as a mint mark on here. So there's not a rosette in the middle of this one. So this one, there is just not a date on this one, but a catalog number of Y153.1. Next up, we have one from the province of Quang Tung. This might be one of the easiest provinces to find when you go through quarter bins. Very similar look here, although the dragon has a different look to it on this one than from earlier. So it doesn't have the head on top and the pearl in the middle. So we'll stop and look at this one for a minute. This one was made from 1900 through 1906 and is catalog Y193. When we flip it over and look at the back, this one again, instead of a rosette in the middle, has a mint mark. And there is our 10, there is our cash. There are 7 symbols below the rosettes on this one. There's another variation that has 8 symbols that run across the bottom. And that's one of the major variances on this one. This brings us to a slightly different design of coin. Instead of saying 10 cash on this one, it has on the words that go around the edge, Tai, Ching, Ti, Kuo, copper, coin. But we still have a dragon with a pearl in the middle. And what's different about this one is it doesn't tell us what province it's from. However, it has a little circle with a mint mark in the bottom. So whatever symbol shows up in the middle here tells you which province it's from. It doesn't say in any other way on here. So this can be kind of frustrating when you look it up in your catalog because you're going to find so many coins that are similar, but you look here first. So the one with that little symbol on it is from the Hunan province. This one is dated 1906 and has a catalog number of 10G. And the variation to look for on this particular one is there is a dot that appears right after the word coin on the front side of it. On this next one, the words are much more well worn, but I do think the dragon shows up a little bit clearer. So it kind of wore more around the edges than the last one. So let's flip it over. And there's not, I wish the catalog would actually have a spot where it would actually list off each of these mint marks. This one almost has the letter B on the right. That's how I went through and figured it out. This one's going to be from the Hubei province. This one is dated circa 1906, has a catalog number of 10J.1. And there's a couple of variations to look for on here when we go back to the front here and we look at the pearl in the middle. There's a little swirl that you can barely see on it. And if you count the flames coming off of it, there's 3 at the top, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. This is the 5 flame pearl variation on here. Another variation of this specific one is it's 29 millimeters. If you measure it all the way around, there's another version that is 30. My price guide actually has a page where you can actually set the coin on it and measure it. So there's a couple of variations like that. So that's the coin from the Hubei province. Next coin, very similar. Still has Tai Ching Ti Quo copper coin around the edge, the dragon with the pearl. Flip this one over. There is not a circle with a mint mark on this one. So that means this one was intended to be circulating through the entire empire. It was a what you would call a general issue, meaning it was designed for the entire empire. So of course you could go back and forth with all of these because they all had the same value based on the copper weight. But this one will have a date of 1907 and a catalog number of Y10.4. Variations to look at for this one. There's another variation where they'd have dots here, 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 and here. This one does not have the dots, but where it does have a dot is right here after the word kuo, but before the word copper. That's what gives this one the catalog of Y10.4 and a date of 1907. Ooh, that is a lot of Chinese coins to get through. Just to wrap it up, as we tally up the book value of everything here, it came to $19, so not as good as the last one that hit 20, but still a lot of coins that you don't see very often, and I took the time to figure out where they were in the catalog. So we spent 20, and in our first half of these coins, we're up to a value of $39. All right, stay tuned for part 3 coming up in a few days. Thanks for watching. Bye.